You clicked it.
We're here.
Let's drink. All right, so what are we taking a look at today?
Well, we have, what is it? Nice hazy or foggy IPA from Humble Sea, and that's based out of Santa Cruz. And we also have, what is this, the Bear Bottle Coconut Confidential, which is, what is that ale? What kind of ale?
So let's take a look. So the brewer's recipe is actually on the back here. So this is what I like about Bear Bottle. They kind of give away their secrets, even though you're probably not going to be able to duplicate it unless you are doing your own home brewing. But let's see here.
What are we drinking, bro?
What are we drinking? Oh, okay. We are drinking... Oh, what does this look like? This is a very interesting looking ale.
Well, while Troy figures that out, I'm going to start with our first pour of the night.
Flaked coconut vanilla bean.
I'd like to remind everybody that this is all live, and I don't edit anything. So that has got a bit of a head on it. This has actually been sitting in my fridge for a little bit. So just some fun facts. I don't know how much we're going to pick up on this until we get the camera. What is this? The new Zengden?
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Yeah,
okay.
Somebody has really bad handwriting.
I'm not even kidding, folks. It's written on the side of the can in like dry erase marker, which is like the worst idea possible for this. All right. Oh, this was canned on 8/26. So, and this is a 7% IPA. So let's get a look on how she pours there. Oh boy.
Now, while you're getting the pour in there, the good thing is that it's still going to be fresh because they do CO2 purges before they do any of their crowlers. So it should be just as fresh as the same day it was canned.
I was about to say, this isn't a wine tasting, so, pucker up. We're in for a ride here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy, does that look good. It's really kind of aromatic, too. Am I getting notes of, like, pineapple and citrus going on?
You're definitely going to get the citrus notes for sure.
Man, I really nailed your pour way more than mine, dude.
Hey, I'm okay with that.
As am I. So, again, that's the Humble Sea. This is the Foggy IPA, although by the time this is out, they'll have moved on to who knows what for a separate canning. Again, based out of Santa Cruz, and as we say in the prologue, we love to drink local. So, prost.
Cheers.
Man, I really keep coming back to that. Oh, lip smacking, that's going to be great on mic. I really keep coming back to that really bright, really citrusy kind of... It definitely feels like there is pineapple in this, right? Like, so I'm getting those types of sweeter notes. Definitely citrus. Grapefruit's another very common one you get with the hazy IPAs. Now... Compared to the fresh pour, this is obviously a little bit different. It's a little bit more aged, even though it had the CO2 in there. But it's still, once again, it's bright. So these will last for quite a while in the fridge as long as you're keeping them at the right temperature. So the other thing, too, is it's not dry whatsoever. It does linger. It is very wet, which is, it's with the sweeter beers, it's a lot nicer, I think.
Not a lot of maltiness, not a lot of bitterness too. So even though it is an IPA, there's not a lot of that sting that people like. Yeah, and most people, they don't like IPAs because they don't like the bitterness, but for most of us, that's why we like it, and this is a good balance.
Yeah, I think with the new trend of hazies, this is definitely kind of airing more in the softer side of things, which I really like. With the new, like, either foggy or hazy or unfiltered IPAs, it's not as brash or harsh as you get with just like your standard punch you in the face with hops kind of, high, IBU beers. So
speaking of punches in the face with hops, so as you know, I grow some hops here. Locally.
Yes, you do. I can see them on the other side of the table right now.
Yeah. Were you here that time when I decided it'd be a great idea to fry them up and try to eat them?
Yeah, actually, I do vaguely recall that. I've had some really interesting and like challenging. Let's get that out of the way there. Meals before, but that's definitely on the more interesting side of adventurous eating. Like What was the mode other than the beer? What was really the motivation behind that dish?
There was a lot of beer. And it was, I always look at it as it's beer seasoning, so why not try it? Right? It's like when you're cooking, you try your salt, your pepper, all those things for the first time, right? So that way you know how it's going to go in your meal. It was a little overzealous. Fried it up with some olive oil, garlic and serrano pepper infused olive oil. It was a great idea till it wasn't.
On paper, yeah.
It was great until it wasn't.
Because I say the aromatics were fantastic, but the flavor was something of a cross between like garlic butter and arsenic, if I recall correctly.
More on the arsenic side.
Yeah, definitely more on the arsenic-alicious side.
Yeah, that's why dogs don't eat it. It's poisonous to dogs. So, I can see why it wouldn't be good for people to eat straight. But that being said, you don't have that type of punch in the face. And if you ever want to try it for yourself,
That wasn't a punch in the face. That meal was a kick in the gut.
Yeah, it was.
And in the mouth.
I'd say viewer discretion advised, but, just don't do it.
This is a family show, sir. So, thoughts on the New Zealand?
New Zealand?
New Zealand?
A little bit of New Zealand there for you.
Oh, I get it. Is this supposed to be... Oh, New Zealand. Is it? No. Okay. They're either like... Okay, so I'm halfway torn here, so I'm thinking New Zealand, but the other half of me is thinking New England, and when I think of New England, I think of shandies, and that's definitely I'm getting. The kind of really bright citrus notes, the really dark kind of hazy, almost kind of like shandy look to it. Am I wrong here?
I would say it's like poetry. Everyone has their own interpretation.
Well, I'm definitely liking what Humble Sea has been putting down. So.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I'm glad they're humble, but they won't be for long. This is good stuff. And if you ever go and visit it, they have an amazing patio. They have great food. They're in a great district where you can see a lot of other local businesses, maybe within about block and a half radius. So definitely, if you're in the area, check them out.
Well, thank you, Troy. That was the most eloquent Yelp review I've ever seen.
Oh, straight to the point.
No, but seriously, we love our friends over on the other side of the mountain. Humble Sea, go check them out. Get it on tap, get it in can. Grab yourself a crowler or a growler, bring it on home. All right, what do we got next?
All right.
Troy, oh my God, it's like I've traveled through time. What year is it?
It's 2018.
How many beers have you had since I've been in the past? Well,
You
you're
don't wanna
about to
know.
have one more.
You don't want to know.
All right, buddy.
All right.
So, onto the bar, or I don't know.
Bare Batel.
Isn't there like a fitness program or something that's like ballet and fitness called bar or bar? I think it's just bar, like at the bar.
I don't know, but I like my bottles bare.
All right. Well, I did the last one, so the honors are on you this time, sir.
All right. So this is going to be an interesting one. Coconut and
So it's a pale. So my guess is coconut shavings infused in the first, maybe in the dry hop. I don't
Let's
know.
take a
Whatever.
look.
It looks good. I'm not. The first thing I'm noticing is though the one thing that you always kind of look at with coconut is, well, this started as a tasting, but I guess it's a chug to the finish. And so this is Bear bottles that are Coconut Confidential again. What is this?
So, crisp rollers of toasted coconut, sliced ginger, and vanilla
Yeah,
bean.
I know, but is it a pills? Is it an ale?
I think there's only one way to find out.
Yeah, let's figure this out.
There we go. Cheers. That's different.
That is. That's interesting. It's coconut. I'm gonna be honest. Coconut not really coming through for me. Maybe it's. I don't know. I think I caught it. So cream ale. That's what this is. It's a cream ale, and it definitely has that kind of round, smooth taste to it that I associate with this. Almost, and I hate to make the comparison because the sweetness isn't there, but the profile is, like the cream soda.
So, you said it just like I was saying it. I don't get the sweetness. Like, usually use like lactose and all that to make it like sweet. I don't get it. It's not bad by any means. I'm not getting the coconut like you said, but the kind of like the ginger and the vanilla bean is really good. Comes out.
The vanilla I'm definitely getting the hints of. I think I'm getting more vanilla than I am coconut in this one. Mm. Man, I can't wait till we get these mics out of here.
Mm-hmm.
But
they're right in the way of the drinking arm. You know that?
So I just kind of got it. I need like a crazy straw in here, man.
Hey, we've got enough PVC. We can do all kinds of work.
That's true. With enough PVC and duct tape, you could build a side room. Which is why we're shooting in the kitchen.
Exactly. Haven't built it yet.
Yep.
So
thoughts on this guy? Yeah, I mean, like, I think I would pick this up again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's not to say, like, you know, like, I wouldn't in general grab this off the shelf. Bear is actually kind of hot right now. It's hard to find these cans on shelves. I think, did you get this one from Cask and Flask?
I did.
Shout out to Cask and Flask.
Yes. Thank you for always hooking us up with the best beer possible.
Yeah.
Local, national, you got it all. So thank you. But yeah, that's where I picked it up, and it was at the time it was something new, something hot. So I said, why not? Let's try it out. And I wouldn't be afraid to drink this midsummer either.
Yeah, this is, I don't know, maybe that's what, actually, no, I can't say it feels weird because we're supposed to be in fall and it was like 80 today. So it definitely still feels like summer, so I think we're still good. But yeah, this is something you want to get nice and cold. That's like really crisp. That's what it is. It's really nice. It's sweet. It's round. It's crisp. It's when you pull it out of the fridge or the cooler, it's gonna be nice and sweet and refreshing.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they're out of San Francisco, so everything about San Francisco is not so sweet. Definitely cold. Every now and then a little bit refreshing, especially if you get that breeze on you. I don't go up to the city much for a reason. There's way too much traffic for me. I don't know about you.
You're not going to believe that. Well, you probably will, but I freaking closed my phone and it closed the list. I still haven't seen The Last Jedi.
Really?
Yeah. Although now they're saying Russian trolls ruined the movie, so I don't know what to think anymore.
Russian trolls can ruin movies, or they can ruin UFC fights. Yesterday, that's what happened. That was an interesting thing, that whole McGregor and Khabib thing. Did you hear about that, see that, anything?
No.
So after Conor McGregor lost, he lost via submission in the 4th round, and it was a great upset, great fight. The whole night had great cards, and Khabib lost his temper and threw his mouthpiece at one of the corner men for McGregor, hopped out of the octagon and started a brawl in the stands. People started jumping into the octagon, sucker punching. It was crazy. It was literally like watching pro wrestling. It was craziness. So
I've been hearing a little bit about that. I guess that's how that all went down.
That's how it all went down.
Oh, that's nuts.
It was.
Man, so I gotta kind of feel though, like, you know, with those like high profile fights, like you kind of feel like pro wrestling, like you kind of go into those feeling like there's a winner and a loser kind of already decided well before then, right?
Agreed. This was definitely one.
But this seems a little off script.
It was very weird. It's not in character for UFC to have that.
Yeah.
I mean, all the talk. I mean, everybody has seen Conor McGregor. They all heard his mouth run from here to New Zealand, right? But nothing like that. And I was watching it live with some friends. It was like, oh my God, what's going on? It was interesting to see. It was cool. But if that's Russian trolling, it still didn't destroy The Last Jedi, in my opinion. I think it was good. I do.
That was a weird way to bring it home, but hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Conor McGregor, Last Jedi, definitely worth a watch, folks.
Not many people agree. Not many people disagree. To each their own, right?
I still haven't seen that fight break out. I'm going to watch that when I get home.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. You'll just look at it like, oh, there we go.
But speaking of random spin-offs, or burnouts in the audience, so what do you think about, like, because now Jon Favreau, I guess, is being tapped to do this.
The Marvel?
No, it's the Netflix series, the Mandalore spin-off. And then Disney's coming in and saying they've canceled pretty much like a huge chunk of their roadmap since all of like the little like spin-offs like Solo Rogue One did pretty good, and I actually like
Rogue One was amazing.
But Solo just absolutely tanked. So now they're kind of like winding everything back, but there's still a lot on the roadmap. So I'm kind of wondering, like, thoughts on, you know, where the franchise is going from here now that Disney is kind of pumping the brakes on things.
So do you think Solo did bad because, so once again, I guess this is the incorrect question asked. I've never seen it. But really the question is, was Solo a bad movie or were people just protesting The Last Jedi? That's really the question. I mean, when I look at it, and I'm looking at, you know, you watch the first 6 films, and then you come back in and you have The Force Awakens, and you have Snoke comes out of nowhere. You have everything kind of out of nowhere. And then you don't have anything that's, I don't know, for lack of a term, retconning it in the second film. You know, Last Jedi, you don't have some great reveal of Snoke. He just goes away, right? And you're like, who was he to begin with? There was no lead up, and it just seems like everything is just kind of out there. So, you know, my thought is, because of that, you know, as a film, I thought it was great, but I think the fact that there was really no continuity and really nowhere to really engage the audience, maybe that's really where the protest was with Solo. Maybe it wasn't that it was a bad movie, it was just that, hey, what the hell are you guys doing? That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I could see that. I also kind of wonder if maybe people were going into this with the wrong framework, I guess, for lack of a better term, is to, from a lot of the reviews that I've seen, and I still haven't seen it yet, but it looks like more like Disney made a decent action movie and then dress the entire set in Star Wars. So I guess if you're looking at it from like a real hard like origin story, yeah, I could see where a lot of folks might be let down there because, you know, obviously Disney tanked the EU and there's quite a bit of backstory to Han that's been built out, and especially like, but this movie, like, it didn't really dip into his past as an Imperial pilot. It really just kind of, I think, like, kind of Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess, this up a little bit, and it was more just kind of like a hard and fast, like, 80s action, like, slam fest than an actual, like, Star Wars canon piece, I think, which is, I think, coming off of Rogue One, like, it's too much of a cool down after running things that hot. And even, like, Rogue One, I'm kind of on the fence about it. It's like, yes, I liked it, but, like, I still, like, there was a lot more that I wanted to get out of it, which was, you know, like, what does an actual insurgency look like in wartime in this universe? Because that's what the rebels are. They're basically I'm not gonna kind of make real life comparisons.
There you go.
But yeah, no, they are an insurgent force fighting against organized.
Well established.
Yeah, against
well funded,
organized government, basically. And that's what the Star Wars films in general really kind of gloss over, is that it's they just kind of highlight the big battles, but really the war is just made up of a lot of smaller key fights. And this was one of those things. Like, getting the plans of the Death Star is like a huge thing, and then yeah, I don't know where they're gonna go from here. It's interesting, but hey, I really dig the whole Mandalorian arc, especially if you watched any of Clone Wars, there was a bit on them in there. So this whole Netflix thing coming up be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Well, hopefully, we'll see.
Well, that's true.
Because it doesn't focus on Boba or Jango or any of them. I think it's supposed to be. Where's it set after? I think it's.
Is it following Sabine Wren?
No, it's just a random Mandalorian.
You can do whatever you want in that universe.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part,
which is, I think that's a safer move for Disney. There's no canon they have to worry about offending. When you think about it, it's probably a safer move for a series.
Kind of, but I mean, like, there's like Mandalore and Mandalorian, kind of that story. That's like the hardcore. Those are like the Hell's Angels.
Yeah,
Star Wars fans.
That's true. I mean, we know folks that are like that, and I could
People
see
are
it.
real defensive about those kind of characters, so that's where I just wonder. I mean, like, where's the franchise really headed from here? I mean, it's not to say, like, okay, I'll be honest, I'm way more into, like, Next Generation. I'm a Trekkie all the way, but in terms of, like, Star Wars is kind of a watering hole that I think everybody can kind of go back to from time to time. And I do think I think it's been diluted lately. Like, that's a fair thing to say, right?
It's very fair. They could always just call up George Lucas and say, "Hey, help." But
he ain't coming back.
no, he got his payday and that's it.
Actually, I could have sworn he actually was working on the Netflix. Like, he was, like, consulting or something on that.
They should have him do it. I mean, let's be real. The man made Star Wars. He's from Modesto. There's no tech stuff in Modesto. He has his own form of genius, which is what brought us all kinds of stuff. I mean, I have a Death Star speaker. Okay, like everything about that universe they made cool.
In your closet.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's out of the closet now.
Death Star speaker.
Right there. Yes, he has to go check to see if my Death Star speaker is literally right there.
Not that they need any more advertising. Move over, Bar. Sorry, Bear.
But it just goes to show, right? And he was really smart by keeping his merchandise rights, too, when he started everything. And who knew, 40 years later, you'd have generation after generation after generation with Death Stars and Darth Vaders and still knowing about Luke and Leia and Han Solo. I mean, it's a hell of a creative achievement. It really is. And my Death Star doesn't blow up, by the way.
No, I was kind of hoping it had a laser pointer in it too, but I was woefully disappointed.
I'm not trying to blow up Alderaan, okay?
You also have a body pillow too, don't you?
I don't have a body pillow.
Are you sure you don't have the?
I have Darth Vader.
You have the full body Darth Vader without the helmet.
I do not have a full body Darth Vader without the helmet.
Full body Darth Vader without the helmet, Daikimura.
No, I have a Darth Vader that sits in this chair usually as a decoration.
That's how we frame the shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He should be in the next. You know what we'll do? We'll just kind of keep him in the background. He'll be like the Easter egg.
I would just
Can you
find the Vader.
Find the Vader.
If we keep this background, yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So after we let it set for a while, I don't know.
It's changing.
The sweetness kind of. It doesn't get to be too much, but it's kind of weighing on me. Like if we're trying to pound through this in a 30-minute setting, but like as a sipper, I think it's just fine. But it definitely does well when it's crisp and fresh. But I don't know, that's sweet. It's that there's definitely lactose in there, and that's starting to creep up on me.
So I'm gonna try to warm it up and see if that brings more of it out. Because when it was nice and fresh and cold, didn't get it whatsoever.
There's not a real strong nose on it either, which is, I don't know if that's working for or against it. Well, it's a really strong it's odd because it's supposed to be like coconut, but it's that vanilla that keeps creeping through.
Well, they use fresh vanilla bean with it, and that
do it.
Yeah.
That's like ketchup. That'll just obliterate whatever's in front of it. That's again, not to say it's a bad thing. I don't know. I would say this is more something I think like I would definitely try for myself. I don't know if I would bring this to a party. Like
interesting story. That's kind of what I did.
Would you bring like a 6-rack of this?
4.
It's not bad.
Obviously, there's still some in my fridge, so that's how well that went over.
Oh, I mean, you still got 3 out of 4. That's not bad.
I like to drink it, so at least I brought my contribution.
No, I mean,
it was a return to sender, and it was a good return. I like it.
No, this is a great drink. I think like overall, like I don't know if I would seek this out again, but definitely is kind of like a one-off or like just kind of like, bring something interesting to the mix that's kind of out of the ordinary. Yeah, it's super, super drinkable. It's a little sweeter than I care for. Like, honestly, I think the packaging on this really gets it right. There's just like cupcakes and coconut and just all kinds of silliness on here. I think that sums what's in here up really well. Not the Death Star, we're not drinking that. But
no, we're not.
But yeah, so.
But it's definitely a great conversation piece. I feel that, as Scott mentioned before, it's great to bring because you want some diversity in your beer. And then, of course, we brought back the New Zealand. Let's call it the New Zealander.
New Zealand. No, it's called the New Zealand.
Yes, the New Zealand. New Zealand Hazy IPA from Humble Sea.
See, the New Zealander makes me think that it's more New England again. Like, I keep coming back to this being a shandy in disguise.
I mean, we can always, we can add to some sparkling something and shandy it up. How about we do that?
I don't even need to do that. We'll just drink straight out of the can. I think it's fine as is.
Oh, yeah.
So if you had to pick one of these, gun to your head and you're in the beer aisle, because, which would be your pick? I'm personally leaning more New Zealand, or the New Zealand shandy-esque.
So I would go with the New Zealand because I'm a little bit more onto the bitter side of things. I like IPAs. I like hazy IPAs. I've liked bitter for years. So for me, that would be my go-to.
The New Zealand's not super bitter, though.
But you don't have that sweetness creeping up on you.
That's true. I think I incline to agree with you here that I think this is a little bit more full-bodied, and this is going to go the distance a lot better than... this actually, this feels like, and I don't know how this sounds, but, Rieslings, this is a dessert beer, right?
Yes.
That's
I totally
exactly what it is. It's very sweet, and I think, even just splitting this can between us, I don't think I could get through, and again, not a bad thing, but I don't think I could get through a whole can of this by myself.
No, but you know what this would go great with? A Pizookie.
Yeah, I could see that. Or, actually... so I'll double down on that and say that if you actually had cupcakes or pie or anything actually with coconut shavings or just coconut on it, I think this would pair really well. I think there's a little subtle toasted coconut kind of flavor to kind of temper the vanilla down a little bit, and that's what I was missing in the sweetness. But I think if you were to... And this, again, beer pairings are kind of a new field, but I think actually, this is a dessert beer, and I think that's where that setting would come in handy. I think this is something you don't lead off with in the evening. I think this is something you stash in the fridge until that part of the evening, and then you also bring along something, like a Pizookie, or, coconut frosted cupcakes or something of the like.
Coconut frosted red velvet cake?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I really think anything that's just kind of bready and sweet would go over really well with this, in all honesty. But again, it's a sit down and down this by myself. I think I would have a bit more trouble getting through this than I would New Zealand.
New Zealand?
Zangland. But so our recommendation: Humble Sea, New Zealand.
Yes, I will go with that one.
But check them both out. Both two great local breweries. San Francisco, Santa Cruz. If you're in the area, definitely check them out. Final thoughts. Great all-day drinker. Kind of a special case here.
I would agree. Definitely, it's fun. It's a fun piece. If you have folks that like beer and they haven't had anything before, if you have someone from out of town, this is great. And if you get some from Bear Bottle, you can have the whole gamut of things, but just great for dessert. Get the cupcakes, red velvet cake, coconut shavings.
What you could do is have the glasses and some of this in the middle. Although again, I think we may be fighting an uphill battle here because by the time this comes out, they probably will be moved on to the next.
Oh yeah, it's definitely an uphill battle. But if you find this gem, do that. Ooh, another fun thought: beer floats.
Ooh yeah, you know what? For sure, like that would go over great with this. And really, honestly, that works out fantastic with it because it is kind of. I don't like using the word novelty. That's kind of derogatory, but it is. This is a fascinator, if you will. I think that class sums it up quite nicely. But for sure, yeah, no, I think that we'll have to revisit that experiment at a later date.
See, there may not be hair, but there's brain cells. I promise, they're really there. Somewhere.
There, right.
Right there.
I can feel them.
Right there. There they are.
All right. And so with that, we'll leave you till another day. Let's come up with a catchphrase.
We need a catchphrase.
No, I like that one. Let's come up with a catchphrase.
I like that.
Is this thing still on?
Yeah. Oh shit.